Welcome to the Sounds About Right podcast. I'm your boy Nibs520. It's the podcast where we 100% give zero fucks. With me, as always, I got my man Jeremy with me. What's good, baby?
Can't complain. I mean, of course I can complain, but we'll wait until we get into the show so I can voice my complaints.
Oh, yeah. We're going to kick that off right. Today, with us, we got a very special guest, fellow ITR contributor. He's also the host of the Slip and Weed podcast, my man, Dakota. What's happening, baby?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. Hyped to be
Yes,
here.
sir.
That's what's up. So let's get right into it, man. If for those of us that have been actually following us or watching our show, you know that we've been following the Deshaun Watson situation, giving you updates as they come along. And today's no different. So today we're gonna give you the final shit. Let you know where everything stands, where Deshaun is gonna go from there, and then we're gonna get everybody's opinions. So first things first, man. Here's where we stand. The NFL and the NFLPA reached a settlement Thursday in the Deshaun Watson disciplinary matter, agreeing that the Cleveland Browns quarterback will serve an 11-game suspension without pay. He will undergo evaluation and treatment by a third-party behavioral expert and will have to pay a fine of $5 million. Now, Watson's suspension takes effect on August the 30th, when all the NFL teams cut down to 53 players. He'll be eligible for reinstatement on November 28th. Now, that also happens to be week 13, which is the week they play his old team, the Houston Texans. So his first game back, if he's going to play, will be against the team that started this whole mess, right? And it will be in Houston. The NFL and the Browns are also adding $1 million to Watson's $5 million, all to go to nonprofit organizations that, according to the NFL, will be educating young people on healthy relationships, promote education, and prevention of sexual misconduct and assault, support survivors, and related causes. So, from the original punishment, which was handed down by Sue L. Robinson, which was just 6 games, no fines, and the turnaround of the NFL to say, hey, we want more than that. They were seeking at least a year and 8 million. NFLPA said they were going to sue. Now here we are, 11 games, 5 million. Let's talk about it. Guess first, Dakota. Which what do your thoughts on that?
Well, to be honest with you, I know very little about it, and I don't necessarily know how like football punishments work and whatever, but I don't know. It seems somewhat appropriate for the little bit that I know about it, but I'm kind of excited to learn from you guys who know a little more about the situation.
That's cool. We okay with you not knowing what you're talking about. You just have to sound right here. We don't need to be experts.
I just got to make the
Jay,
right thing, right?
yeah. You just got to make it sound good, baby. We'll clean it up in the end. Jay, what's going on, man? What you think? We've been following this for a minute, brother. So, what are your thoughts?
It's a long, dragged out soap opera, but uh, they're tacking on extra 5 games, so that turns it into 11. Conveniently, first game back, he's playing his old team, the Texans. They docked him an extra $1 million that's going to nonprofit, but let's think about this. The NFL is nonprofit. Like that. So you want to tell me the victims aren't getting the money, and they're the ones who's victimized. So they have to see money go to somebody else, and they which had nothing to do with it. And on top of that, he's getting fined 6 games without pay. Where is that money going? Because that's a lot more than $1 million. They're not disclosing where his game check money is going. I would like to know that.
That's a good question. Usually, what that just means is that he's just not going to get paid. The team gets to hold on to that, right? So pretty much whatever the hell they want to do with it, they can. But I'm going to assume that they'll try to funnel that through some kind of charity as well. That's usually how that works, right? But who knows? We don't know. We won't know until they tell us. You know what I mean?
Oh, another nonprofit organization like the NFL?
Yeah, something like that.
Wouldn't you think some of this extra money should be going to the victims themselves?
Well, he did settle, those civil cases with the victims or the ladies that have accused him well, 23 of the 24 anyway, that are open. So I mean, they are getting a check. They're not without reparations. They're getting paid through the legal system. But as far as the NFL is concerned, I don't know how much, if any, of that goes to them. The only thing that the NFL is saying is that this is going to go to some nonprofit, and they haven't named yet. I'm assuming this will become public knowledge down the line. They haven't named yet which nonprofit organizations that they're rolling with. I want to ask you guys, what do you think of the punishment as it relates to what the actual charges are, right? Because we're talking about the sexual assault charges, right? So what do you think? Do you think the punishment fits the crime in this situation? Dakota, what are your thoughts on that, man?
I don't know. It seems kind of light based on what you guys are saying. I mean, relative, you just said 24 people. I hadn't heard that. I had read some articles about it, whatever, but I hadn't heard 24 people. I mean, you could do, you could like get fucked for that. You could get in legitimate trouble for that. And he's just kind of getting a pay cut, you know? So I don't know. It seems like real world punishment would be different. Like if one of us had done it, we'd be
Hmm.
fucked for like a while. But once you throw wealth in the mix, you know,
Yeah,
punishment.
so to kind of get you caught up on that, right? And for those that may be watching or listening that are getting caught up as well, it started off as 30. So well, initially, let me go back. So when this whole started, there was one lady who the lawyer that's handling all of this now. He reaches out to Deshaun Watson's people and Deshaun Watson directly, pretty much in an extortion attempt, saying, "Hey, look, pay us this money, or we're gonna make a whole bunch of shit public, and we'll get a whole bunch of other people to say you did some rowdy shit. Um, so pay us or pay for it, right?" Deshaun Watson said he didn't do anything. I'm not paying you. Then the lawyer goes on and puts a social media post out there that says, "Hey, if you've been a massage therapist for Deshaun Watson, reach out to us. We'll get you some money." He came back and changed that later. Hey, look, if you've been injured or accosted by Deshaun Watson, reach out to us, right, to clean it up a little bit. Then that led to 30 women joining the civil case. Now, mind you, their civil cases, the ones that are actually in court. Um, that 30 got dwindled down to 24. Then 24 of those 23 cases, civil cases, have been settled already. There's one lady, and we'll get to her in just a moment. That's holding out. He has had. They've had two times where they've taken this to the grand jury in Texas to try to bring a criminal case. Each time the grand jury's denied, even trying to send this to court. So what they're saying is, hey, you don't even have enough evidence to file criminal charges. So the long and short of it is, Deshaun Watson's probably not going to face any criminal charges. He's having to pay the civil fines and whatever those settlements are, and whatever the punishment the NFL is, which is now we know is the 11 games of 5 million. Now, one thing again, I want to make everyone who's listening understand: the NFL is not a court of law. The NFL is a business, and the only thing they have to find Deshaun Watson guilty of is violating their conduct policy, right? So that's what this punishment is in relationship to. Civil cases are not criminal cases, and civil cases are strictly a financial situation. We're saying you did this, we want money for it. And as most people know, people with a lot of money usually end up settling those cases as opposed to taking them to court so they can just get rid of it and go on about their business, because it usually ends up costing them more money to take these cases to court. So with that knowledge, Dakota, does that kind of change your view of things, or where does that put you at?
Well, I think it's like, I mean, I'm not a fucking expert in fucking anything, but it seems like sexual harassment's a tough one to prove if that's like the burden to be like, well, what do you need, a video of me harassing people? Do you need audio clips of people saying no, please, I said no, like where is that line with that? And so it's tough to know in any situation. I think in situations where you have upwards of 30 people, um it would seem like there's a trend, You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that should be something that gets rewarded in any kind of way. And I don't think that should be a situation where like rich people can just pay their way out of suffering consequences for shit, that we would otherwise be in deep shit for.
Yeah, I agree. Jay, what's your response to that, bro?
I mean, now the question was, does the punishment fit the crime?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the judge gave Deshaun six games because of the history of what the NFL previously did. So
Right.
now the burden of proof is with the NFL to justify why are you giving Deshaun Watson an additional 5 games when you, based off your previous precedents, it was only 6. But at the same time, I find it odd that all of these women are being defended by the same lawyer. It almost sounds like some scumbag lawyer. If you've been accosted by Deshaun Watson, please call me at 555. That's some daytime lawyer shit. That's crazy.
Is it fucking
So
Salino and Barnes?
Teresa Intrush.
Right.
That don't sound right. But okay, so he gets the extra 5 games, he gets the extra million, but what's to stop anybody from accusing anybody for anything if you come with a multitude of people? Like that could easily happen to any football player. There could be another 20 women down the line saying this dude did the same thing to me.
I think that's 100% right, but I think the flip side of that is what's to stop these guys from doing shit like that over and over and over again if all they have to do is throw a couple beans out the window to make it go away.
Right, but the people who's been assaulted, they don't have to accept the money. They could actually go through with the charges, but the court didn't said they don't have enough evidence. So they knew at that point the only thing they could do is get the money, which that's seems like that's all they wanted in the first place. Like I
Yeah,
can't just judge somebody and you can't prove nothing. That's just
I'll say
hearsay.
that. I'll say this. If because we see this all the time, right? It's both sides. To both you guys' points. Dakota says, what's to keep these guys from doing whatever the hell they want to do because they're, spoiled millionaires, right? And we saw that with the Henry Rugg situation. This dude doing 150 down our residential street in Las Vegas and kill somebody because he's entitled as shit. We see domestic violence all the time. We've seen rape charges, drug charges. The NFL. This isn't the first time this has happened in the NFL. I think we can all agree to that, right? We're
Right.
all old enough to understand that part. The thing about it is we've also seen a lot of false accusations for guys who are athletes either before they made it to the league or while they were in the league, and everybody said the same thing they're saying about Deshaun Watson now. Oh, he's guilty. He's guilty. He's got to do this, that, and the third. And then they find out later, hey, all of that was bullshit. And this guy has already served, his sentence, either legally and or in the court of public opinion. And that's the one that kills you the most nowadays, right? Because in the court of public opinion, Deshaun Watson's guilty of sin.
Right.
Let's even if all this comes out later that he's 100% innocent,
It's too
does
late.
that change people? Yeah, at that point it's too late. He's damaged his brand, right? So, and I would say that really, no matter what side of this you're on, I don't think the decision changed your mind at all, right? So if you were pro Deshaun Watson, you thought he was innocent, or if you thought he was guilty, I don't think this decision changes your position because there hasn't been any new evidence to say one way or the other. It's just a punishment by the NFL. So to me, I'd like to know because they've got the same information the grand jury has, right? What information do they have that says this dude's a predator? Because they've been calling him all kind of shit. He's predator. He's a predator. He's this that. They said they had proof
Predatory
that
behavior.
right. They said they had proof he was lying. I want to know what that is, right?
Right.
Because none of that information is being made public. And if that's the case, maybe it could help these women. If any of the shit they're saying is true, it could help these women in their criminal cases, right? Which is where we want to go. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel about it.
It's that woke syndrome.
I mean, to be fair, too, I don't have like a position. I'm purely going off of some of the shit that I'm reading and what's like publicly known. But I think there's just like, even this is a different level of wealth, but somebody like Harvey Weinstein, it's not like there's video proof of him doing what he did. But what
Right.
there is there's a consistency in the stories over and over and over again. There's clearly like people who are traumatized, that it's obvious that they're traumatized. So that's why it makes it such a sensitive issue. But that's also why that burden of proof shit is like, that's kind of empty, bro. This is one of those things you can't prove. You can prove a murder, you know what I'm saying? You can prove when somebody punched you in the eye, but it's tough to prove certain things, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's like, I always think it's safer to just not take a position because we weren't in the room, you know, in a sense.
Unless you're R.
Because I
Kelly.
also wouldn't want to demonize somebody that hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, unless you're R. Kelly, because he videotaped that shit and we all watched that. Yeah. So
Yeah, he's a varsity harasser.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein is in jail. He got charged criminally.
Now bringing that up, right? Because and I'm actually glad that you brought this up. So we're on the heels of that R. Kelly, that whole R. Kelly situation in debacle, right? I mean, that got wrapped up right before this whole Deshaun Watson thing popped off, as did his big old contract. But we'll get into that. That's another conversation for another day. But do you think that the reaction that we're getting from the public and from the NFL and from everybody else, everybody that's writing about this, you think we're getting the response and the hate towards Deshaun Watson because of that? Like if that hadn't happened so close to this, right? Do you think the reaction would be the same, Jay?
Yeah, I think it would be the same. I think it's apples and oranges. No, R. Kelly was technically a child predator. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he was just asking for happy endings from 30, 40 different women who didn't want to give the happy ending. But but he got the money, so I don't see it as the same. But you gotta prove something.
Yeah, I think there was definitely more proof in obviously the R. Kelly situation
Yeah,
than
with R.
but
Kelly, he's like straight up has like prisoners in his house. So it's a little easier to prove that.
yeah. And for some reason, whenever he does an interview, he can't just flat out say, "No, I didn't do it." He keeps saying, "What do you mean by friends?" Like, R. Kelly, shut the hell up.
You
Just
mean
tell
like
people you didn't do
17,
it. Oh,
18? Like what?
yeah, yeah. I don't know if you watched that interview, Dakota. It was like R. Kelly and was it Teray? Wasn't it? Yeah, well, I think it was Teray, the
Yeah,
dude from MTV.
that
Yeah.
one.
So he does this interview, and Teray asks him, "Hey, do you still hang around with, you know, teenage girls?" And instead of just saying no, I don't, his answer was, "Well, what do you mean by hang around? Like I have friends." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like everybody in the whole world is just shouting at their TVs, "Shut the fuck up! Say no." You know what I mean?
It'd be the easier way out. Just be like, oh no, that's crazy.
Right. But instead of
But
doing
then,
that,
but then he said,
yeah,
but when you say teenagers, what do you mean? Like 17 or 18? Like, what are you doing?
yeah, yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody more guilty than R. Kelly in my life. All right. Lastly, last point on this. We mentioned earlier that 23 of the 24 cases against Deshaun Watson civilly have been, wrapped up. Lauren Baxley, who did identify herself as the 24th, lady, has not settled her suit against Watson. She's refused to sign any agreement or settlement in her case and recently spoke out as to why. So she gave a statement to the Daily Beast in which she says, and I quote, "I sincerely, with humility and my relative anonymity, ask that those in power over Deshaun Watson make swift and stringent decisions to prevent further actions of harm against women. Please remember the women who have decided they could no longer fight this legal battle after multiple courts and multiple fandoms told them their lives didn't matter." Again, the other 23 cases were resolved civilly, and he has not been charged with anything in court. So there you have it, directly from the horse's mouth. She's refusing to sign anything until, and she does go on to say that she doesn't believe that any of the punishments that are being levied by the NFL are going to change anything, and that none of his apologies or the course that they have him taking with the therapist or anything like that is really going to deter him, based off of what she knows of Deshaun Watson at this point. So that's one lady who was brave enough to identify herself and actually speak her own truth. So maybe that'll leave some context to it going forward.
Yeah, I could have respect that woman. She's going all the way with it because she felt she was done wrong. So to me, she's the only doing it the right way.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, if you're going to say he did it, say he did it. Say what as Kevin Hart says, say it with your chest. Let me know what's really going on, because if he's really doing these things, we got to get him out of there.
Right.
And I'm a fan of Deshaun Watson. I was before all this, but I tell you what, you're fucking with women, get the hell out of here. All right, fellas, we had a big fight weekend this weekend. This is why Dakota's here. You know what I mean? He's getting ready to talk this big shit. So, first off, before we get into the Anthony Joshua and Usyk fight, I want everybody to take a moment of silence for Jay and his streak of, betting prowess, for the head kick that ended it all.
I'll give you a quick detail. Quick detail how the weekend went. Started on Friday because I'm the financial guy. Bitcoin dipped 10%, so that's strike one. Saturday, okay, I'm feeling frisky. Let me put $1,000 on Usyk and Usman on a parlay. Even money, 1,000 to win 1,000. Okay, Usyk wins, but Usman, a minute left in the fight, he get kicked right in the dome. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll never forget the message I got as soon as that fight is over. No. Yeah. In a fight he was winning, by the way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for our fans out there who watch MMA, he was winning that fight. He had a little trouble early on, old boy got him on the ground and almost got his neck, for a brief minute. But after that, he pretty much was, he was working him. I thought he was on his way. Yeah. And then the head kick heard around the world. You know what I mean? I'll say this though, like the UFC has been putting on some pretty entertaining cards lately. Like, you know what I mean? The last couple of cards, the pay-per-views have been worth it. So I would definitely check them out. If you haven't seen that fight, it's worth rewatching. I know ESPN Plus will probably have it. You can probably catch it online as well. But let's get right into it. Again, the reason we brought our guest on today, Anthony Joshua Usyk. Dakota, walk us through that, man. What are your thoughts on the fight?
Listen, man, one of the things I got frustrated about in the buildup was like everything was Joshua centric. It was like, how does it affect him if he wins? How does it affect him if he loses? What's he gonna do next? Is he the next Lennox Lewis? Da, 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 da. And everything was just centered around how the fight affected Joshua, regardless of how it went. And the reality was that like standing across from him was like a generational talent who could easily not be fighting because his country is at war that he was fighting in and had to remove himself from just to even do this shit. But it was like he was just a side thought for me. So as much as I personally like AJ, I just have always found people's obsession with him to be a little strange, particularly in light of like some of his limitations as a boxer. So going into it, I wasn't like hardcore rooting for Usyk, but I was just kind of hoping that like he's going to get some kind of credit or attention for just being an excellent boxer. And, Joshua looked a lot better, man. He did. He was falling for a lot less feints. I thought his feet looked better. I thought once again, he wasn't physical enough. And I just think that, at the end of the day, it was still a skills fight. And Usyk took that 4 rounds that he needs to kind of figure out what the game plan is. And once he started letting his hands go in combination, it was just, all of that. My legs are bent and I'm not falling for the feints. It's not enough once Usyk started opening up. So again, I thought it was a great win for Usyk. I think Usyk Fury, I have no idea if that's going to happen. I was talking about this with Felix last night. Like, I don't really understand what Tyson Fury is doing, even if it's just marketing. And then at the end of the fight, it's like AJ still doesn't understand that it's no longer the AJ show. Like, you've lost.
Yeah.
Be gracious. Let that man speak first. It's not about you anymore. And he just doesn't know how to do that. He's so used to being the star of the show that
Spoiled
he was
brat.
just like, look, let me fucking talk about how I lost, because the whole buildup has been about me anyway. So people will love this because this whole event is about me.
Right.
So I didn't like that shit, man. I thought that was pretty fucking lame. I thought the sentiment of it was good. Like, he's trying to be gracious, but he's like too emotional. So I don't know, man. I think you could, at this point, I'm not saying he's number one, but you could start making an argument for Usyk being the number one pound for pound guy. And nobody's going to talk about it.
Jay, what's your reaction to that?
I mean, I agree a lot with what Dakota is saying, but and that's why I put the bet. I was so confident with the bet because coming in, I saw Joshua is a boxer who is fighting Usyk and who is a warrior. I didn't even see him as a boxer. I saw him as a dude who's a patriot who's coming from the front line and is going to step into a ring. Like this is boxing. This is nothing right now. I could easily beat you. But Joshua, to his credit, he did look better. He was more disciplined, making sure that his lead foot was on the outside fighting the lefty. So he did that much better the second time around. He was definitely better to the body. He caught Usyk a few times to the body, but I mean, Usyk just has top-notch boxing skills. It's almost like the Ukrainians are similar to the Cubans. Like they fight kind of Olympic style where they just rack up the points and they fight real technical and defensive. And Usyk is just top notch, and he could take a punch because he got caught a few times.
That ninth round was rough, bro. Joshua was hitting him with some shots in the ninth round, and he took it like a champ.
And he came back the 10th round just even stronger. That was the crazy part.
Round 10 was a legacy round for Usyk. That was a legacy round right there. Because he could have, most guys would have gotten stopped in the ninth.
For real. Joshua brought in a good trainer, somebody who was more offensive to try to help him. But I think it's a hard transition bringing in a trainer for one fight. And, you got to work out the kinks. Maybe a few fights under the belt, things might go a little bit better. But Joshua seems kind of hard-headed on top of that. Like, there's no real cohesion when you're dealing with this guy. It's like he gets frustrated quick. Sometimes he'll go off script and he'll just kind of freestyle shit. But him being a big guy, like he was saying when he grabbed the mic, I'm 15 stones. I can't go 12 rounds. Well, you knew that shit before you fought him. So you knew you was 15 stones and you wanted to box him anyway. Whose fault is that?
And he's come in lighter before. If he was worried about his stamina and whatever, like, put the weights down, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit, you're just creating, because people think just because you're big and jacked, that's going to mean your conditioning is great. But a lot of times for boxing, it just means that there's more muscle that blood has to get pumped to.
So you got less stamina.
Exactly. So, and you can see that with him and I felt like that was the difference, right? He hurt him in the ninth round, but he put so much into that. Whereas Usyk's conditioning was like, all I need is that minute break, and I'm going to be the aggressor in this next round. You know what I'm saying? And that was where he won the fight for me, because I had it 7-5. I'm pretty sure I had it 5-4 for Joshua going into the 10th. And Usyk just swept those last 3 rounds with conditioning, with speed, with not losing anything from the first round, whereas Joshua is not the same in the 12th as he is in the first.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Like 9th, 10th, and 11th round, it was so much of the discrepancy. If you're not really an aficionado in the sport, It almost looked like a blowout because this man was staggering coming to 11th and 12th round.
What do you really quickly? What are you guys' thoughts on now that the fight is wrapped up? Right, like and I'm not gonna blow past this, but we got to touch on it just because he's been blowing up social media. Let's say Fury comes back, right? What are you guys' thoughts, Usyk and Fury? What do you think happens in that fight, Dakota?
I gotta be honest, man. If you had asked me a year ago, like right before the first Usyk Joshua fight, I would have said I think Fury is the baddest man on the planet, and I don't think there's any heavyweight that can beat him. And then the third between these two fights, Usyk and Joshua, and the third Wilder fight where he got dropped again, I think that there's a big discipline gap between Usyk and Fury, and I think that Fury is going to be more effective than Joshua, but I just think that these guys don't know what to do once Usyk makes the adjustment. Like they'll do something well, and then once Usyk figures out what they're doing and makes that adjustment, they're all deer in the headlights. That's how I see it. And maybe Fury is more versatile, but I just think it's gonna be tricky for him, man. And you can't fight this guy with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, bro. He's too good. He's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like I know the argument of like he loves media attention, but like, bro, he could have been in the ring at the end of this one, you big fucking dosser, and he could have been yelling and fucking look at my belt. That's how you fucking market the fight. You don't retire and relinquish your ring. Like, I just don't think he's doing that well.
Jay, what do you think, man?
I mean, if there was a matchup, I'm actually going the other way. I think Tyson Fury would probably stop him maybe late in the fight. I mean, boxing wise, it's pretty much a toss up. Uh, but Fury doesn't have to worry about Usyk's strength, his power. I mean, when we're talking about boxing, I mean, Joshua don't got not even close to a jab when we're talking to Fury. Inside fighting, there's no advantage for Usyk, which he'll probably have to do is try to fight on the inside, but there's no advantage there neither. I just think Fury is too well rounded, and Usyk he's just naturally a smaller person. And that's the only deficit why I don't think he'll win. It's just his size. He got all the skills, just the size is the problem.
The only thing I'll counter to that is that Fury, anytime and anybody he's fought, he's the guy with the foot speed. We've never seen him have to fight somebody who's definitely got a foot speed advantage. And I think Usyk's going to be able to set shit up against Fury that he's not used to because nobody else is able to do it at heavyweight. They're not that coordinated. So I think it's just Usyk at this point is used to fighting bigger guys. Obviously, Fury is not just any big guy, but he's used to fighting, having to fucking look up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how how normal it is for Tyson Fury to have to go find a guy. You know, I think that's the puzzle for Fury.
Now that Deontay Wilder has announced, he's coming back and he's fighting Helenius later in this year, how do you think he fares against the winner of a Usyk and Fury fight? I mean, we've all seen the Fury thing 3 times, right? So, me personally, if Fury and Usyk fight, I'm actually kind of rooting for Usyk because I would like to see him fight Deontay Wilder type. Do you think with Deontay Wilder's comeback, he has a chance against either one of them? Because, as you guys both alluded to, they're both master boxers, right? Like the only reason Fury is a champion over Wilder is because he can take a hell of a punch. Because let's face it, Wilder landed his Sunday punch on him 3 times. Twice in the first fight, and a couple, actually 4 times, a couple of times in the third fight. And the dude got up when everybody else, was going night-night. So, and because of his boxing skills, do you see Usyk taking that same punch like Fury did, getting up and then boxing the shit out of Wilder? Jay, what do you think?
I mean, with that matchup, of course, Wilder has a puncher's chance with any fight, but I think it's even more of a blowout because Usyk is just going to play it safe. his boxing. I mean, he's a heavyweight who's listed on pound for pound list. That's how good of a boxer this man is. He's actually underrated. He's one of the best actively right now. It's like him, Canelo, and then Spence and Crawford, and maybe Tank Davis, and there you go. You got your top five right there.
I think
But
Bivol got to be in the mix as well,
okay,
just beating
throwing
Canelo.
B-ball for sure. But exactly, we're naming pinnacle boxers, not just some right hand bomb squad guy. You need more than that, especially when you're fighting Usyk. But I'd rather see Wilder and Joshua fight. I mean, there's no reason not to now. You both lost to the same dude twice. Might as well get it on now. Stop chasing belts and your legacy. That should be either or's last fight or both of their last fight. Let them fight each other.
Yeah, that's
I
an
think we're
interesting
gonna have to
matchup.
see. We're gonna have to see too. Is Wilder's taken a good amount of punishment in those 3 Fury fights, man. He's taken some shots. He's gotten knocked out twice. He's gotten dropped multiple times. Particularly this second one was like just a beatdown. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering what he looks like against somebody that isn't Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? Has the punishment accumulated? Is he the same guy he was in 2018, 2019? The guy that put Brazil out in 1 round? Is he still that guy anymore? Because a lot of times with power punchers like that, once they get stopped or once there's a loss in the mix or you're able to actually buzz them and hurt them, it's not the same deal anymore. Like I think a good example would be Jarrett Hurd, where it's like he's got, before he's a walk down, I'm gonna walk you down, I'm gonna muscle you around. It doesn't really matter what you hit me with because in round 10 I'm probably gonna stop you. But once with the Lara fight and the J-Rock fights where he's like legitimately getting hurt in those fights, now he's not the same anymore. He's not that unmovable wall. I don't know if Wilder is still that guy. And even if he is, I think it's going to be really hard for him to hit Usyk. It's going to be harder for him to hit Usyk than it was to hit Fury. And Usyk has now fought Joshua twice, who's a great puncher, and has not been buzzed once. Right. So I'm not worried about his punch resistance.
I got an interesting question for you guys because it's kind of parallel, right? When we've mentioned this, well, you guys have mentioned this. What was more impressive to you guys? Anthony Joshua's improvements from the first fight with Usyk, or Wilder's adjustments from the second fight to the third fight with Fury? Dakota, what do you think?
I think Joshua was way more impressive, man, because he actually stuck with it. Whereas Wilder in the third fight, he was jabbing and moving for about a minute and a half, and then all that shit went out the window. I mean, it was like half a round that he went for that, and then once he got clipped, and also too, that kind of movement is not natural to him. It's not, you can move like that for 12 rounds if that's your style. That's what it's programmed into your muscle memory. That shit's not natural for him, bro. So he's going to do that for 90 seconds and gas out. Whereas I think Joshua made a genuine attempt to sustain that strategy for the full 12. And I think he did. He just lost.
Jay, do you agree?
I mean, he hit it right on the head. I mean, you could actually see Joshua trying to stick and implement a game plan. It wasn't enough, but at least you can see him try to do it. I mean, Wilder, I don't even know if he had a game plan. It looked like, okay, I'm just going to throw my right hand and then lights out, which that's what it looks like almost all the time. But ironically, Wilder and Joshua, with these rematches, they were dealing with new trainers in their corner. And even with a new game plan, it didn't work out.
Because it's like ultimately you have to do what's natural to you in order to get the best results. You can add stuff. You can always add stuff. You can always get better. But if you're taking away, like, what makes Wilder special, right? It's because he's fucking reckless. And you don't really know what he's going to do. And when he throws his right hand, he goes halfway across the ring. Like, it's just shit that you can't practice for. So it's like you got to allow him to lean into that at the same time. And if it don't work, it don't work. But to try to make him, Because you remember in the third fight, he came out and he was jabbing. He was trying for literally half a round. And it's just,
Right.
that's not what he's built to do.
That's not him.
That's not him. That's not his nature. But if you want him to do that for parts of the round to confuse Fury, that's different. But if it's like, nope, you've been a wild slugger your whole career, and now I'm going to try to teach you how to throw a 1-2. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think that works.
I mean, he's a one-trick pony, but he's got a hell of a trick. Like,
It's a great trick. He's the best puncher of all time, in my opinion.
Sir.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys. I think we all watched the Brazil fight, but the sound that punch made.
Man.
I mean, you can't teach that kind of power, bro. That shit is otherworldly. Like, for my money, watching boxing my whole life, right? I've never heard a punch that, like, literally, we were watching that at the house. Me and my friends were kind of conversating. Nobody was really looking at the screen. We heard the knockout. Like, we heard it. It was like, oh, like everybody said, oh, shit.
Bro,
and we look, man. So if you're Deontay Wilder, why change that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
look at Sergey Kovalev, bro. Look at Sergey Kovalev. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. After the Ward fight, he like tried to change his whole shit up, and he didn't need to do that. He probably won that first fight. You know what I'm saying? So it was a flip a coin, that first one, and then the second one was straight up a low blow. To be honest with you, that's how I saw it. But look at Sergey Kovalev as a perfect example. You have a devastating power puncher that takes a couple losses and becomes knockoutable because he tries to change his nature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Didn't he bring in Buddy McGirt? Was it Buddy that tried to get him to change?
Yeah, and you know what? I thought Buddy added some good things. You know, that Sergey has that boxing ability. But his thing is like he was dropping guys with jabs to the body. You know what I'm saying? He was special in the same way that Wilder was like a special puncher. And so to make him like exclusively on the balls of my feet jab from the outside guy, you're just taking away how he got to, you know, the top.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because you never see boxers try to become punchers, right? You always see punchers try to become boxers when they take a couple L's. Go ahead, Jay. You were going to say something?
Well, to throw it out there, what do you guys think if there was a matchup with Wilder and Joshua? Who do you think got it?
I got to see this Helenius fight, bro, because Helenius is no joke.
For real.
He's a real heavyweight. He's been around for a while. Like, he used to be the European prospect that everybody talked about. So this is like he's finally getting his moment. So he's got a real opponent in with him. And he's coming off of 2 fights where he took a lot of punishment. So I feel like my instinct at the moment would be that Joshua would win right now. But if Wilder looks like Deontay Wilder against Helenius, I'm picking Wilder without a doubt. I don't think Joshua's chin will be able to stand up to that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I mean, if that's the case, how do you think Helenius? What's his chances with Wilder? What do you think?
I think he's got a chance, man. I think he's got a chance. He's a big guy. He's 6'7". You know, he's a good puncher. He's got, you know, decently fast hands for a guy that size. It doesn't mean I think he's going to win, but I think they're not putting him in with Bermain Stiverne or somebody that's like a real gimme. You know, he's a live dog. Yeah. But if Wilder's Wilder, it should be the same kind of fight he's always had, you know?
Right.
That's cute. This shit is going to be over in 4 rounds, bro. Like, let's be real. And the reason I say that is this, right? I get what you're saying, Dakota, and I know what you're going, right?
What happens if Helenius hurts Wilder?
Helenius is a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. I'll give him that. But he's going to try to do what everybody else tries to do. He's not going to do the Tyson Fury thing. He's going to be there to be hit. And if you're going to be there to be hit against Deontay Wilder, we've seen what happens with that 41 times, right? Because one thing Deontay Wilder does not get a lot of credit for is he can take a punch. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real clear. Deontay Wilder has a chin. That first Luis Ortiz fight, I thought he was on his way out of there, and he comes out and smokes the dude. So, you know, it's one of those things where if you're going to go toe-to-toe with Deontay Wilder, 90% of those people who tried it lost.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, bro, your punch resistance changes once you get knocked out, like neurologically. Your ability to take big shots is different once your lights get put out. That's just what it is. So
Yeah, so we're trying to see how much he got left.
that's what I'm saying. Like before these three fights, especially after the Ortiz fight, where it's like he was taking bombs and he just kind of got through it. But
Right.
again, even a fight like that, there's only so many times you can go to that well. That well dries up one day. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's dry for him. That's what we're about to find out. But I'm just saying he's had some hard fights, man, against guys that are 260, 270 pounds. And if he didn't have anything left, right, it would make sense.
It
I
could be
got you.
one of those possibilities when he gets old in the ring.
So what you're saying, this is pretty much his litmus test, right? This is, hey,
Big time. And there's a big
yeah,
difference. There's a difference in momentum here. Helenius is coming off the two best wins of his career, and Wilder's trying to figure out if he still has anything left. You know, the momentum of this fight is in favor of Helenius.
okay. So let's play the odds on this, right? So let's say Helenius and Wilder. What do you think should happen if Helenius wins for him, and then what do you think should happen for Wilder if he wins? Go ahead, Dakota.
Well, off rip, I mean, obviously we have to wait and see if Usyk and Fury are going to fight, right? But I think like a good opponent would be for either of them would be the winner of Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker, or the winner of Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz. Obviously, that's less appealing if Ortiz and Wilder both win. I don't really need to see that again. But to me, I think the winner of Joe Joyce and Joe Parker is probably the most interesting opponent that the winner of this fight could get right now.
Cool, Jay. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's just perfect. I agree with him 100%.
And I mean, think about Helenius and Joe Joyce. I mean, that's an action fight right there. You want to talk
Man.
about entertainment value?
Oh, yeah,
And
Joe Joyce, he showed
I
some
fuck
stuff
with Joe
last night.
Joyce.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he's hittable, but I like watching that dude fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
chin first kind of guy, but he definitely he throws combinations that other heavyweights don't throw. Also, like he's got a very creative offense.
Well, was
Gotcha.
Joe Joyce the guy who beat the Dubois guy?
Yep.
Man, and he was taking hits. And Dubois, he's a heavyweight who could actually throw some combos, and he was taking flush hits and just walking right through the combos. He wasn't even hurt. Some Drago shit.
Yeah, he closed the kid's eye with his jab, basically. You know.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's why he's so entertaining to watch, right? You know, but here's the thing, right? Can you do that against Deontay Wilder? Like, I mean, and even Helenius, like we're giving Wilder all his flowers for his power. Helenius is a hell of a puncher, man. Like this dude can put your lights out, quickly. You know what I mean? So all respect to Dubois, but he's not that, right? Like these guys are the top half for a reason. You know what I mean? So I think Joe Joyce would have to get a little less chinny to take.
Dubois young too. I think Dubois is more talented than any of those guys, but he's super young, and I just like he probably getting a broken orbital bone is a weird injury. I know everyone was like, "Oh, he quit, he gave up," but like you start feeling like your head is getting electrocuted. You know, it's like a very weird sensation. It's not something that you want to fight through. You have to be exceptional to fight through that. You know.
Yes, sir. Well, gentlemen, we could talk boxing all day, but Dakota, we got a game for you before you get out of here. We're going to ask you a few questions. You're going to answer them, God damn it. And
let me have them, bro.
we're going to have a little fun. All right. So, everybody, this is the time in the show where we do 21 questions that sound about right. The object of this is we're going to do rapid fire questions. How it'll start is I'll start the first half. Jay will come in and he'll lead the second half. You have 10 seconds from the end of the question to answer. For questions that have multiple choice, you can't ask one time for the multiple choice options to be repeated. Once the answer for the question has been given, we will automatically move into the next question. Any questions about the game? Good, because we're not going to answer. All right. Here we go. First question. What sound or noise do you love the most?
Oh, you doing that James Lipton, baby. Rain.
You get to live in one of these four options free for the rest of your life. Which would you choose? A treehouse, cabin in the woods, waterfront mansion, or a tiny home?
I mean, that's an easy one, bro. Gotta go waterfront mansion. Always. I've been living on the water my whole life.
Yeah. That view is sickening. I hate you for it, by the way. Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi. Real sugar Pepsi.
Name a Beatles song.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Nicely done.
Nice.
Flats or drumsticks?
What's the option?
Flats or drumsticks?
Drumsticks.
In a zombie apocalypse, what would you be your weapon of choice?
Isolation, bro.
Is Valentine's Day a legit holiday?
No. Be nice every day. You don't have to fucking make an occasion out of it. Just be nice to whoever you're with.
Words to live by. Ford or Chevy?
Ford all day.
Which foreign language would you like to learn?
You know, I know a decent amount of Spanish and I can understand it when people are talking about me in Spanish, but I'm not fluent. So I think that would be a good skill for me to have.
Yeah, you live in New York. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans out there, bro.
I know, bro. Between the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans, and then I live in a Cuban neighborhood and I grew up in like a Mexican neighborhood. So it's just all around. So I can hear when somebody's talking about me. I just can't, you know.
Last question for me. One of these movie franchises has to go. The options are Star Wars, Rocky, Fast and Furious, Lord of the Rings, or The Avengers.
The Avengers, bro. Let's be real. We got to get that shit out of there. If those are the choices, bro, get that shit out of here.
I like this guy. I like him. Yeah.
All right, let me take the reins on these questions. So, how would you describe humanity to aliens in one word?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
That's a lot more than one word, sir.
No, that's one word. They don't know what the fuck.
He said forget about it.
Forks or spoons?
Spoons. You got more choices with spoons.
Okay. What is your superhero name?
My superhero name. Wow. Damn, bro. I've never even thought about that one. I guess I'm running out of time. Call me fucking D-Mac.
D-Mac.
D-Mac. Okay, would you rather read minds or being invisible?
I think being invisible, because reading minds, bro, that'd start getting heavy after a while. You ever seen that Christopher Walken movie where he's just like getting everybody's trauma when he's walking down the street? I'm good on that, bro. I just want to disappear sometimes.
I like it.
Which celebrity most like to be friends with?
That's a really good one.
10 seconds.
I got 10 seconds, bro. Fuck it, Jadakiss.
Winner.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Blue cheese, bro. Give me a little chunk in that salad.
What's the most expensive thing you ever broken?
I mean, I've had a low budget on breakables. I think I knocked the shelf over in the grocery store one time, and I had to get out of there, bro. Because that's.
If a movie was made about your life, what would the title be?
The road less traveled.
I like it.
Can you drive? Can you drive a stick shift?
I can't drive a stick shift, which is kind of a disgrace. Actually, I should really get on that,
You're gonna have to pull your man card for that, sir.
dude. And it's crazy too because I like drive and shit for some of my jobs, and I don't know how to drive a stick shift. I should get on that.
Now, here's a question I know nothing about, but if Hogwarts chose you to study there, which house do you think of Sorting Hats?
What
What's the
sorting hat
question?
puts you in?
The
Yeah.
Sorting
So
Hat
if
put you.
Hogwarts chose you to study there, which house do you think the sorting hat puts you in? Either Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin.
I gotta go Hufflepuff because that's a pretty funny ass name, and I feel like if I was in wizard school, I'd just be like the class clown.
Does
Plus,
pineapple belong in pizza?
No, that's a ridiculous proposition. That's like saying, does mayonnaise belong on an Italian combo? Like, let's be real. That's an oil and vinegar sandwich.
Well, if you could get any one thing for free for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Right now, gasoline, baby.
Okay, last question. What is your favorite curse word?
Damn. I mean, fuck is just the classic, bro. And it comes out of my mouth every 1400. It's what we can do, you know? It is what it is.
I was gonna say he's a New Yorker. Some form of fuck is gonna be in motherfucker,
Yeah.
fucker, some it's gonna be that.
You could just do a montage of me behind the wheel, like, look at this fuck. Look at this fuck.
Hey, Dakota, man, that was beautiful. Thank you for playing our game. Now we're gonna wrap up, but before we do that, we give Jay. Go ahead and hit us with those financial tips, baby. Let us know what's going on. What do we need to know to make some money around this piece, other than taking head kicks to the face?
Well, because on Friday I lost 10% in Bitcoin, I'm going to give you more of a way to manage or when to get in if you're a novice when it comes to stocks in any type of currency. So traditionally, Wall Street, the worst months to do any investment is in Wall Street is this coming up September and October, and that's going off the basis of the last 25 years. So Warren Buffett, one of the richest dudes out here when it comes to business, his most famous phrase is buy the dip. So buying the dip is when a stock is at a low. So now when you buy something low, is less likely for it to go down any lower, and it's just going to increase from that position on. So anybody got a few extra coins in their pocket, come in September, October, you can consider this like a sale when it comes to stocks. Everything is going to be nice and low on the cheap. Put a little bit of money into the stock, let it accrue for about a year or two, see what comes out of it next year. Me personally, I'm waiting for that Bitcoin to drop about, I want to predict about $17,000 to $15,000. Hopefully I could get a whole coin. Coming 2023 July, I'm going to predict the Bitcoin is going to be about $45,000. So that's a pretty nice flip, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing. So this next 2 months, anybody see anything you like, buy the dip.
There it is. Buy the dip, bob when you should have been weaving. Don't take kicks to the chin. Leave your massage therapist the fuck alone. And
Watch out for
and
loose feet that are just sort of coming at you from different directions.
right. If you see toes, run. And for the love of God, do not put pineapple on pizza.
Oh,
That's just wrong.
Yeah. As a New Yorker, if you'd have said yes, we would have ended it right then and there. Goodbye, never see you again on
It's a little difficult for me to be sitting at a table with somebody who has pineapple on their pizza. I'm just like, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, yeah. Now, because I know what your answer is going to be. New York style pizza or Chicago style pizza, deep dish or thin.
Chicago style pizza, to be clear, is a casserole. That is
Yes.
not. It's a casserole, right? It's
Yes.
just a big bread pie. It's not the same thing. I'm not even
Yes.
gonna say that it tastes bad, but it's just not a pizza. It's like a pizza offshoot. And
Yes.
shout out to their casserole. I have no issues with it. Continue to make your tomato sauce casseroles that are mush and that looks like an English meat pie, but it's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was perfect. Yeah,
yeah. You guys can all
exactly.
kiss my ass. Um,
Keep enjoy
it's
your casseroles, bro. Enjoy. Enjoy.
yeah,
Just don't do comparisons.
yeah. Well, you're wrong, but
Yeah,
okay.
try walking down the street with a deep dish slice. See how that works.
The other thing about deep dish pizza, you can't walk down the street with it, but you could also very easily eat it with a spoon, which
Right.
also makes it a casserole.
I feel the hate. And green is not either one of yours color. You know what I mean? Just stop it. It's not our fault that we made a more flavorful pizza, and
It's
it's delicious. And I'm sorry that you guys, are lacking.
There's no versatility. Like you
Dakota,
go to
where
New
can they?
York, you get a dollar slice. You fold it in half, let the grease drip, take your bite, and go and walk. You can't do that nowhere else with no other type of slice.
I mean, you guys are wrong, but it's okay. I'm outnumbered. I know when to fold it. I'm outnumbered. I know I'm not going to win this fight, but to be continued. Uh, Dakota, it's been a pleasure having you, man. Let everybody know where they can find you, what you got coming up. What's in the works for you and Slip and Weave and your music career. Anything you got going on? What's going on, baby?
I just keep grinding every week, bro. Slipping Week podcast. I try to drop as many Wednesdays as I can. Coming up on episode 73, 73, I'm pretty sure, which is wild. Um, you'll see my stuff on ITR Boxing. Check out the ITR Boxing YouTube page. Check out itrboxing.com. I got some music in the works right now. I don't have any release dates or anything, but if you want to check out what I do, my newest single, Old Champ, up on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all that jazz. And yeah, man, I'm out here. I'm out here. Come see me. And I fuck with what you guys are doing heavy, bro. This is awesome. This is a really cool show you guys are doing.
We appreciate you,
I
man. Hopefully,
appreciate
we
you
can have
coming
you
on,
back.
man.
Yeah,
Anytime, anytime.
yeah. Anytime we have a major fight, you're welcome to come in here and talk that shit. You know what I mean?
I'm
We
looking forward to it,
appreciate you.
man.
I
Or
mean,
if
I've
we,
been watching RTR. I know Dakota knows his shit.
I
oh yeah,
appreciate that,
man.
bro. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I'll be honest with you. I did the interview with Jack when we talked to James Tony and all that. And he's knowledgeable. I've been on Lukey's show, and we've had Felix on the show as well. We fuck with ITR heavy, but yeah, definitely I like your style, man. Like I'm not gonna say I'm biased, but I'm biased. Plus, your view is better. I'm gonna keep bringing that up. You son of a bitch. And you know, next time we have a pizza debate, you got to come back. We can talk pizza all day.
Oh man. That's the thing about New Yorkers, bro. You get me talking about some food that we do. Like, don't bring up fucking bagels around me, bro. I will get
Uh,
passionate about a fucking bagel.
who has the best hot dogs? We can have that. We can have that debate all day.
No, you guys do. You guys do.
I know. I just I figured I'd even it out.
Yeah, but hot dogs
Since
are, that's a sidewalk food.
Yeah, you could keep your pickle.
here you go. Here you go. Hey, pause. I mean, we're getting the pick now. Fellas, it's been love, man. It's been a great episode. Again, Dakota, thank you for coming out. Check him out, everybody, on ITR and the Slip and Weave podcast. Check his music out right now. The Champ, you said on Spotify, right? And
Yep, Old Champ.
Jay, as always, man, it's love.
Sounds about right, everybody. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Remember, buy that dip.
That's what Kamaru Usman should have done. He should have dipped. Let's get the fuck out of here. All right, fellas. Take it easy.
Peace, guys.
Peace out, y'all.
Great being on.